Hello all, a warm welcome. Now we can see what is a local variable, global variable, a recursive function and an introduction to lambda functions in this lecture. This is scope of variables initially. All variables in a program may not be accessible at all locations in that program. Some variables may be accessed to a particular location in a program. This depends on where you have declared a variable. The scope of a variable determines the portion of program where you can access a particular identifier. So, to identify the portion of program where you can access a particular identifier comes the importance of scope of variable. There are two basic scopes of variables in Python, global variables and global versus local variables. Variables that are defined inside a function have a local scope and those defined outside have a global scope. So those variables that are defined inside a function are called local variables and those defined outside the function are called global variables. This means that local variables can only be accessed inside the function in which they are declared, whereas global variables can be accessed throughout the program body by all functions. If there are n number of functions in the program, those n number of functions can access global variable. But whereas local variables can be accessed only inside the function where it is declared. When you call a function, variables declared inside it are brought into its scope. You can see an example. See here, we have declared a variable total. This is a global variable. And we have defined a function sum in which we are just finding the sum of arguments that is passed to this function. And inside the function, we are printing what sum we have got. That is the sum of two arguments, argument plus one argument 2. And see here, there is again a variable total. But this total is a local variable, whereas this total is a global variable. And you can find the difference or you can monitor the difference when you see the output. See, we are calling the function sum with two arguments 10 and 20. So arg1 will be assigned value 10 and arg2 will be assigned value 20. And we will find total 10 plus 20 and the result is 30. But see, outside the function, we are accessing the global variable whose value is 0 and that will be displayed as output. So here comes the difference between local variable and global variable. I am repeating, local variables are something that are defined inside a function or inside a loop and their scope is restricted to that portion. So the scope of a local variable will be inside the function it is declared or inside the loop it is declared. Whereas the scope of global variable can be accessed by any function on the program. Function called anonymous function, and I'm not going to dip into anonymous function or lambda functions in this lecture. We will have a separate lecture on this lambda function and some functions like map, filter, etc. So what is anonymous function? These functions are called anonymous functions because they are not declared using standard manner by using def keyword or df keyword. Instead, we use a lambda keyword to create small anonymous function. Lambda forms can take any number of parameters but return just one value in the form of an expression. They cannot contain commands or multiple expressions. That is a specialty of an anonymous function or lambda function. An anonymous function cannot be a direct call to print because lambda requires an expression. We will see all this with a basic example. Lambda functions have their own local namespace and cannot access variables other than those in their parameter list and those in the global namespace. Although this may appear, lambdas may appear as an online version of function, they are not equivalent to inline statements in C or C++, whose purpose is by passing function stack allocation during invocation for performance reason. Syntax of anonymous function or lambda function. So, keyword used to define a lambda function is lambda, followed by n number of arguments, a colon, then an expression. This is syntax of lambda function. Example now. See, we have declared a lambda function with two arguments, arg1, arg2. And what expression we are performing? After column, we'll specify some expression. Here we are performing a simple evaluation or simple expression is defined here. That is, we are adding those values. That is value of arg1 plus arg2. And the result of this expression is returned to some variable. And somewhere in the main program, we are calling this function by passing two parameters. In first case, we are passing 10, 20, and in second case, 20, 20. So we'll get total, a simple program. The simple usage of lambda function, but there is more or better application for this lambda applications, which we will see in a new lecture. What is recursive function? Python accepts function recursion, which means a defined function can call itself. So recursive function means a function calling itself. A function can call itself again and again. But there should be a termination. Normally we will write some condition called base condition where this function calling itself terminates. Recursion is a common mathematical and programming concept. It means that a function call itself. Recursion means a function calling itself. This has the benefit of meaning that you can loop through data to reach. We can see a simple example. The common example used in every programming language while teaching recursion. Recursion is to find factorial of a number. Same example we are using here. The result, factorial of 5 is 120. The result will be displayed so. For that, we are defining a function called fact, which accepts a parameter f. And in the main function, I'm asking user to enter a number. And we'll call the function fact by passing this number. And once we get the result back, we'll print. So, the value inputted by the user will be passed to this variable f. And what is done inside this function? We are checking if the value of f is 1. If the value of f is 1, we will return the value 1. Else, what we are doing? We are calling this function, that is the current value of f. Again, we are calling this function by passing the parameter f minus 1. For example, if you have to find factorial of 5, so this if part won't work, the else part will work. So in else part, we are returning something. But before that, again what we are doing, we are calling the function fact. But we are passing the parameter 4. 5 minus 1 is passed. In the next call, 5 into 4 into fact of 3. In the next call, what is returning? 5 into 4 into 3 into fact of 2. In the next call, 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into fact of 1. When it is 1, it will return 1. So all those return values will be aggregated together and we will get the result as 120. Now we'll see one more example regarding functions. Here my intention is to input a string or a sentence and find the longest word and its length in that particular sentence. So if I have entered a sentence, hello, how are you? How are you? Why? My D-E-A-R-R-R-R. We know the longest word is D-E-A-R-R-R-R and its length is 7. That is to be displayed. For this, already a part of this we have used in previous lectures, but here we are implementing it with the help of function. For that, in main program, I'm asking user to enter a text and we are calling a function long. And we have defined a function long which accepts the string parameter. And what we have done, we have asked the system to split it, which returns a list called words. We are declaring a new list and for each items in word, we are appending two values to the list. That is, we are appending length of item and the value to this new list. And once this for loops execution is over, we have traversed to entire list and we have appended its length and the value, that is the first hello, its value will be appended and its length. Initially the length will be appended and in second case the value hello will be appended. Then 3 comma how, then 3 comma r, then 3 comma yoy, 2 comma my, then 7 comma dearrr will be appended to the list. Then we are asking the system to sort. So after sorting, just printing the new list, so we'll get this output. In the next statement, we know if this kind of sorting will sort the list in the ascending order. So the last element of the list will contain the word with longest length, or the longest word in the sentence will be the last part of the list. And the print statement, we are using new list minus 1 1 will display the last element of the list. What is the purpose of this minus 1 1? In the list we are adding two elements. See, first parameter is the length, and not parameter, the first content is length and second content is the string. So when we take this last part, it actually contains two parts. First is a length and second is dir. So new list of minus 1 will display this content as it is. 7 comma dearrr will be displayed as it is. And what we want in this position, longest word is, we want dearrr. So to get this part, we are using minus 1 1 as index location. So in the last element, in order to track the last element, we are using minus 1. And among the last element we want, this will be in 0th index location. 7 will be in the 0th index location. And dearrr will be in the first index location. We want this element. So for that I am using minus 1 1. And we know its length is what? New list minus 1 0. So this is another example which is using the concept of list split function together with word or function concept. So in this video we have seen the concept of local variables, global variables, recursive function and introduction to lambda function. Thank you for now.